Welcome guys to the combo video for Dracoslayer, Super Heavy Samurai, Pendulum Magician ZARC, and how we can do a complete board wipe, a legit ZARC fusion summon, as well as a ton of other things. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off by normal summoning Skullcrab Joker, and we're going to search for the Pendulum Magician, and next I'm going to activate Motorbike. I'm going to discard it, and I'm going to search for the Super Heavy Samurai Wakaushi. Now this card is really good because it's a one card combo. I can place a big Benkei in the pen zone and then special summon the Wakaushi, and then I can activate big Benkei's effect. So this is quite important. You want to search a soul monster. It's the only monster you can search, but that soul monster, when it goes grave, is going to search the wagon, which is part of the combo. Now we're going to go for the soul piercer for this part, and we're going to equip it straight away to the Wakaushi. We're going to use these two monsters as material. I'm going to summon the best monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Exceed the Prominence. And this is quite cool, by the way, because we're going to get to chain block Soul Piercer as chaining 1 and Wakaushi as chaining 2. So we're going to put that in the scale because it was used as a synchro summon. And then the Soul Piercer will go through and search. And this card can search any Super Heavy Samurai monster. And we're going to search the Super Heavy Samurai Wagon. We want to summon Magister Dracoslayer Pegasus. And this card can search any field spell in the game. Think about it, guys. Rescuers rely heavily on spell cards. They rely on prosperities. Sometimes board breakers, Manadium needs spells. Unchained is the only deck that does not seem to care as much about spell cards, but they still use cards like the Dark Gate, Pot of Prosperity, and so you can literally main deck or just side deck Secret Village, and because of the end board giving you the Supreme King Magician in defense mode, you have your Magician for the Secret Village, which I think is quite crazy. In fact, when it's summoned by a Dracoslayer or Pendulum summon, I can search for a field spell, but I do have to discard a card. And this is where the Exceed the Pendulum comes into play, and is why I'm so excited to play this deck now in tournaments, because we can discard the Supreme King Magician, and we'll be able to special summon that from the graveyard, which is amazing. And then let's go for a Link summon with Ignistar and the Majesty. So we're going to go into our Beyond the Pendulum. Now, before I filmed this video, I did try 3 different variations. You can literally search anything with Beyond the Pendulum, which is so cool. You can search so many things with this card because Exceed the Pendulum can special as a quick effect during player's turn a monster that's between the levels of the scales. So yeah, it's up to you how far you want to take this, but let's keep it simple. I'm just going to search for the Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon, and then we're going to Pendulum summon. So we're going to do 1 with the Wagon, and we're going to do the Majesty Pegasus and the Skullcrab Joker. Now we're going to do Chain Link 1 for the Wagon, and that's going to put itself in defense mode. We're going to activate its effect, put it in attack mode, and search. From here, the end board is looking quite interesting. I'm actually going to pop the Wakaushi so I can search for this Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. So next up, I'm going to use the Skullcrab Joker and the Beyond the Pendulum, and we're going to perform a Link Summon. I really wish this card was Secret Rare. I don't think I can forgive Konami for not making it a Secret Rare. We're going to do Chain Link 1, Exceed the Pendulum. When it's summoned, you can add a Pendulum monster from the extra to the hand. And you can see here, guys, we're literally adding back the Wakaushi. So this 2-card combo has just become a 1-card combo. Now we're going to do its other effect to special summon a Pendulum monster between scales 1 to 12. And in this combo, you can actually guarantee you special summon a Pendulum that's even level 11. Because we're doing 1 to 12. It's actually crazy. We're going to special summon the Supreme King Magician, and then we're going to activate its effect for the trap card, Supreme Celestial King. Now, obviously, we're playing Super Heavy Samurai, and so you don't want spells trapped in the graveyard. These are the only spell traps we're running, which is the trap card and the field spell. But in my opinion, these cards stay on the field. If you're that concerned, your Ignistar can just shuffle the Iris back into the deck. And in my opinion, if you're going to resolve Soul of the Supreme King, and you're going to have a crazy end board, there is no way in the world that someone is going to break that board, because you have a complete board wipe from ZARC, and then you have the crazy disruption that this board will make. We're going to destroy the Odd Eyes Revolution to special summon the Ignistar Prominence. We can activate Ignistar Prominence's effect now. We can special summon a Dracoslayer from the deck. And this is where it gets really fun, because you can actually reduce the ratios of your Dracoslayers because we're just specialing them from the deck, giving more space for hand traps, which I believe we run 9 of them in the deck. I'll do a deck profile at the end of the combo, so stay tuned for that. You can go into Dynamite and go for a fusion summon with Dinostar, and I think that's actually what we're going to do. So we're going to summon the Dinostar, and then we're going to fusion summon these two together, and we're going to summon the Dinostar, and then when Dynamite is tributed, you can add a Dracoslayer accept himself to the hand. So now we have even more follow-up with Majesty Pegasus. Now from here, we're going to activate Dinostar's effect. We're going to special summon the Majesty Pegasus from the hand. And what I'm about to do is actually kind of crazy, but we're going to go ahead and use the Ignistar and the Majesty as link materials to summon the IP Masquerena. Basically, what I'm trying to do is get to the Singularity, the Firewall Dragon Singularity, and it's pretty crazy how we're going to get there. Of course, we have another Odd Eyes Revolution to do even more plays. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and activate the next Revolution Dragon, special summon the Ignistar back to the field and destroy this. And then we're going to go ahead and link summon the Ignister, the Diagnoster Power, the Exceed the Pendulum, and the IP Masquerena. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now with the Firewall Dragon Singularity, I'm going to make sure I summon it under the wagon. And the reason why is we're going to go ahead and use Soul Peacemaker's effect. We're going to summon the Scales. Scales is really infamous. It's quite an expensive card as well, despite its low rarity. We're going to activate its effect to special summon a Super Heavy Samurai monster from the graveyard. Now this can increase the level or decrease the level by 2. And so in this case, we're just going to turn the Scales into 6. And then we're going to go ahead and go for a Synchro 8. Now before we do anything else, we're going to do Chain Link 1 Firewall Dragon Singularity, because a monster left the arrow it points to bring back a Cybers from the graveyard. Chain Link 2, we're actually going to chain block that in case they have Ghost Spell, and we're going to exceed, or rather equip the Exceed the Pendulum to the Borderlord Savage Dragon. And so let's resolve that. This is actually crazy, guys, because we're going to set up a really cool board. Now from here, we haven't even used Ignister's effect. Now it doesn't really matter, again, what you summon here. But I decided to summon the Ignister, and the reason why is I can actually destroy this, and we're going to do that. We're going to activate Ignister's effect, we're going to destroy the Ignister, and we're going to shuffle something back. Now, you can actually shuffle back Exceed the Pendulum and keep the 3 borrow counters on Savage Dragon. All you're going to lose is the attack boost, but it's 3k, it's already quite strong. And so we now have a way to shuffle back Exceed, which confirms, you know, you never need more than 1 copy. And I find that really cool because, you know, we are running a tire extra deck because of the ZARC monsters. And so we're going to trigger Ignis' effect and special summon any Dracoslayer from the deck. And I don't even care, I'm just going to bring out the main guy, Luster Pendulum. And now you can probably see what we're going to do. We're going to use Luster, IP Masquerena, and the Ignister Prominence, and go for a Wiper Appaloosa. And there we go, guys. That is our end board. And then we have 3 Material Appaloosa for 3 negates. We have a Borderlord Savage Dragon to protect us from talents, field spells, Pot of Prosperity, anything like that. And then we have the Firewall Dragon Singularity, which is a double bounce, which I think is crazy. I mean, cards that do a double bounce is really unheard of. It's really rare to see. But because of the Dracoslayer package, we have a Synchro and we have a Fusion in the graveyard. And so, guys, this is actually insane. I mean, we have a ZARC follow-up as well. So I'm going to go through that now. So let's say it's the opponent's turn. They've been able to use the, we've been able to use the Borrow negate. We've used the Appaloosa negate. Let's say it's got 1 counter left. Maybe they use 2 disruptions, and then let's say we use the bounce for Singularity, but they still have an extender. And so in that case, we can go ahead and use Sword of the Supreme King. We're going to tribute the Supreme King Gate Magician, and then we're going to banish the materials to summon the ZARC, which is the Fusion Dragon, the Synchro Dragon, the Exceed Dragon, and you can also banish from the main deck as well, which is the Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. And because we banished the 4 Dimension Dragons, we can Fusion summon Supreme King ZARC to the field. And when he gets summoned, because he got summoned by banishing 4 Dimension Dragons, he has his effects. It's not negated. If this card is special summoned, destroy all cards your opponent controls. This card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and your opponent cannot target of card effects. So we all know how infamous the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is, and this is the exact same thing. And it's 4k. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place it in the Pendulum Zone. When it is in the Pendulum Zone, Fusion, Synchro, and Exceed monsters your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. And you're going to be able to shut down Manadia, you can shut down Tournament, you can shut down Branded Chimera. Ignister Prominence can actually pop this and shuffle a card in, giving us that floodgate. So we just did that with 2 cards. We've literally added back the Wakaushi, so you could say it's a 1-card combo. And then we have 3 more cards in our hand. And so the next effect is once per turn, when your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, you can destroy that card. This is just amazing, guys, and I think this is a really underrated board. A fun take on pendulums as a whole with the new support, but also something you might actually have a lot of success with. And you know, I've obviously made a turn 1 board, but I also have a really cool dual commentary versus Terrament in a best of 3, and I use this exact deck list. Thing about done myself, this is close to me summoning the 4 Heart Boss monsters and Vader Panishad. Skip the opponent's turn. Let's move on to the next part, which is the deck profile. Welcome to the deck profile portion of the Dracoslayer Super Heavy Samurai ZARC deck. So I want to start off with the monster lineup. Now this has gone through a few sort of revisions since the last time I showed it to you guys. And the main reason is because we're playing that ZARC package, and I think I've refined the Super Heavy package. I think this actually works really well. The reason why is Majesty is obviously the MVP Dracoslayer, but Dynamite helps us special any of the Dracoslayers in the pen zone. And then you have Ignis, which is really good, combos really well with the Ignister Prominence. Can actually low-key help you make Crimson Dragon as well, because the monster Ignis brings out can be used as synchro material, whereas the one Ignister brings out cannot. So I just realized that as I'm saying it, that sounds pretty cool. Because you're playing the Super Heavy, you kind of do rely on that scale 1 and 8. And this is a 42 card deck as well. We still play just 1 Luster Pendulum. Now, my previous older version was running Spheres. with Zelantis, but decided to cut that out for the space for the ZARC package. Can special majesty from the deck, so you could also argue it's a one-off, but you saw the 1-card combo, well, 2-card combo, you saw how powerful it is, and I think that's why we still keep majesty as a 3-of, especially as it's a low skill. So that was the Dracoslayers. I want to move on to the Magician and Odd Eyes cards. So let's go through these now. We've got 1 Sky Iris, we got the Soul of the Supreme Celestial King, we have the Supreme King 8 Magician, we have the 1 brick, literally just the 1 brick in the deck, which is Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon, and then we have the Magician monster. So this is actually a pretty cool package. The reason being, Skullcrowbat Joker is probably the best normal summon if you're going to throw in Super Heavy in this deck. The main reason is you need a non-tuner pendulum to summon the Ignister. Now we do run Sky Iris, and it is a card you can shuffle into the deck if you're concerned, but this card is amazing because it tutors out the Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. I decided to run only 2, which you kind of do go through in the combo, so you can run the 3rd one if you want. The deck is 42 cards. We're just running 1 Supreme King 8 Magician, and I don't know if I should be running more than this, but again, because we're throwing in the Super Heavy package, that might explain why. But I feel like if I were to add in the 2nd and 3rd copy, I might as well add in the Supreme King Gate 0, but we want to stay away from that because we want these Super Heavies in the scale and not these guys. And so again, this is technically a turn 1 strategy, and so you can easily just side these 2 cards. Again, you know, summoning ZARC is amazing. It's the like apex pendulum monster, and so I was really excited when they gave this new support, giving us a free special summon for ZARC the correct way, not with the older trap card that Dynamorphic players use. So yeah, really pumped about this package. The Odd Eyes Arc is literally a brick, and so yeah, that is a pretty brief rundown of this package. I would say it's quite important, and you kind of need to run it at these ratios. Sky Iris just helps. I mean, you saw it, guys. Sky Iris with the Ignister, so much link climbing, it's actually crazy. Okay, time to move on to the Super Heavy Samurai package. This is where things get really interesting. We're running 3 copies of Wakaushi, we're running 2 Big Benkei, we're gonna be running 3 of the Motorbike as well. I believe Motorbike actually got reprinted as a super rare in the latest OTS, so I think that's quite cool. And then for the strange one-offs, we're playing 1 Scales, 1 Soul Peacemaker, 2 Soul Piercer, and 2 Wagon. Card is really, really important, and you can still find your 1-card engine. And the issue is it's a non-pendulum, non-tuner, and so we can't make Ignister with it. And so I want to reduce it to 2 so we see it less. It is a card you search instead. And as a side note, all those Dracoslayer monsters also help to summon Ignister. So even though you might not find the Skullcrowbat Joker, you did notice in the combo as well, the Beyond the Pendulum search, like I said, wasn't even something you have to search in the combo, which means that could be the substitute for the Supreme King Magician if you don't find it. So it's not the end of the world if you don't find the Skullcrowbat Joker for that in combo. We're playing 3 Nibiru, we're going to play 3 Ash Blossom, and we're also going to be playing 3 Effect Veiler. So because we are a super heavy deck, we can't play Imperm, we can't play Call by the Grave, we can't play Triple Tactics Talent. And so I feel like this is, you know, sufficient enough, let's say, to ruin someone's day. You got Nibiru Veiler, can break any board. You got Cashdare Friendly, great going first and second. Was always a great linker extender for Beyond the Pendulum as well, because you have that extra body to summon Beyond the Pendulum. And so that is the main deck, guys. 42 cards. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. I'm going to show you guys the extra deck next. If you are going to take the ZARC package out, which I think is absolutely fine, what are you running for those 4 slots? I'm curious to know. Alright guys, so for the extra deck, we're running 1 Ignister Prominence, the MVP of the Dracoslayer deck. What I want to say is, you know, top 10 boss monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely not showing my bias there. We've got the Dinosta, which is part of the combo. I decided to actually start running this again. There's a world where we take out the ZARC package and we just keep ending on Harbinger, which I think is really important still. Again, if you play the Sloth, they can't out it because they have to attack Harbinger, which I think is really funny. Then we run the 1 Brodor Savage Dragon, which you can run with a Dracoslayer super heavy deck. Just with the super heavy engine, this is the card you go into. I decided not to run Baron, which you can still run, and you can definitely run things like Harmonizing and Off Dragon. And with the combo with Savage, actually, you can equip Exceed the Pendulum and then use the Ignister's effect to shuffle it back into the extra deck for next turn and still keep the negate counters, which is busted. And of course, we've got to show off the ZARC package, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Odd Eyes Rebellion, Exceed Dragon, and then Supreme King ZARC. This monster's pendulum effect is one of the best in the game. Possibly best in the game because of the Floodgate and the anti-surge effect. I'll show you guys what we're messing with for the link package. That's 1 IP Masquerena, SP Little Knight. We're running the 2 Beyond the Pendulum actually. I think that's one thing to really highlight is this isn't just a copy-paste combo deck. This is actually competitive. We're running 2 Beyond the Pendulums. We're expecting hand traps. 1 Exceed the Pendulum because we can shuffle it back into the deck for follow-up. Access Code Tulka, Appaloosa, and Singularity. So, I mean, Singularity is a really, you know, this is like one of my favorite cards, and you can run it really well in this deck. For example, you can have an IP Masquerena, go into the Firewall Dragon Singularity, protected by card effects, and then when a card under Singularity goes to the graveyard, bring back the IP, which is so good. And so that is why I think IP is really good. That can help you summon SP as well, which also comes from by card effects. So this deck is actually really good against Lightning Storm. which is a really popular card at the moment thanks to Red 2 collection. And if that wasn't enough, we have access code for the OTK, which you can climb into with Exceed, and it's why I'm not running Selene in this deck. Well, I guess I can't run Selene. Even though the combo will have 3 spells, I don't want to risk it. Will you be trying this deck out? What version of this deck are you playing? Are you enjoying the plain Pendulum Magician deck, which actually is not plain, it's amazing. Again, stay tuned for the dual commentary where I go against Tournament. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.